What if animals lived among us as people? Held jobs, went to school, led daily human lives, just like the rest of us. Could we tell? What if I were to tell you that this is already a reality? Far from fiction, these Therians are already part of our society. A Therian is a person who feels that they are, in some capacity, a non-human animal. This can be psychological, spiritual, or something entirely different. They may have been born feeling this way, or have realized their true feelings over time. Some cases have shown that they may have exhibited animalistic traits, such as acute senses, behaviors of their animal, or specific tastes, before discovering that they were a Therian, or some of these traits have been known to surface afterwards. The point is that, while all Therians are different, there are still some commonalities, prime among them being that, while they may be animal mentally, or spiritually, or even psychologically, they're not animal physically. Those who believe they are, in fact, have a mental disease called clinical lycanthropy, which is in no way related to therianthropy, but it is commonly mistaken as such. But there is another far more interesting side to therianthropy: shifting. Now, when I say this, you may think of werewolves gaining massive, bulky wolf bodies under the full moon and going into a village to kill civilians. But this couldn't be farther from the truth. What shifting actually is when a Therian temporarily gains some non-physical traits of the animal they identify as, also known as their theriotype. These shifts can range from mental shifts, where they gain the mentality of their theriotype, to phantom shifts, where they gain the sensation of having one of the limbs that their theriotype would have, to sensory shifts, where they would temporarily gain heightened or different senses based on their theriotype. It is important to note that shifting may not start until after someone starts to discover that they are Therian, or it may be something that leads to said discovery. What is important is that shifting is a common trait shared among many Therians, and is often misunderstood, even among them. That is why it is so important for Therians to talk to each other, most commonly on the internet. Hello.
Good evening.
May I say it is a pleasure to have you here.
Oh, fine. I'm glad you asked me to do this interview with you. It's my first time, to be honest.
So, can you tell us a bit about yourself?
I will try. So my name's Dean. I'm 20 years old, 21 years old female being from Germany, and I'm a teenage black bear. But let me say, one, I know my limits and also my human, non-animalish behavior, passions, and all that. Maybe you'll see what it is.
And when did you realize you were a Therian?
That's a question I've heard many times now. I never had such a moment. I only had the moment when I realized that I'm not mentally ill. I visited several psychologists and they took away my worries when I was about 14 years old. Then there was the moment when I realized I'm not alone with these four onlookers, weird, for me uncommon but interesting experience. Anyway, after a lot of research and many mistakes I've made, I found out that I'm a bear.
What are some of the day-to-day challenges of being a Therian?
Well, first I have to say that I am a Therian. I have to fight against other urges in another way than shifting therianthropes do. As a therianthrope, I don't shift. I rather am constantly shifted. Not physical, of course. That's a lie. Physical shifting is a nice and wonderful, neat idea, but still impossible. No, I'm in phantom limbs, aura shifting, mental, and so on.
So, how do you think therianthropy works?
Oh, there are many ways which seem to be weird and impossible to me. But yeah, anyway, I believe in soul displacement and reincarnation.
How much, if any, would you say that religion factors into therianthropy?
Not at all. Therianthropy is not a religious thing or a part of it. It's about identity. You can be a Muslim lion, a Christian one, a Buddhist is a lion, and so on. I'm a Christian, Buddhism. as a bear.
Why did you make the Therians Village amino group?
Because every member of the philanthropy online community, young or old, as well to get to know like-minded beings, especially new members of the community are happy when they can find a safe place where they can ask questions, have fun, and just be themselves without being judged.
Some say that therianthropy detracts from the overall seriousness of the transsexual community. What are your thoughts on this?
And the Therians try to explain their identity comparing to transgender people, being born into the one body, like transgender. This way they portray Therian and trans in the exact same level and other one in the stomach.
Hypothetically, if someone was a Therian, how could they get in contact with other Therians, and why is it so important to do so?
That's the first way, internet. It's filled up with opportunities and answers for almost everyone. And why it's so important? Because no one wants to be left alone with the thoughts and worries of being mentally ill. And without information and someone trusted too, they need advices for a better life as a Therian, simple ways to hide in society and still be integrated, even for older ones that can be difficult.
What are 3 things that you would like to tell any new Therians or people questioning if they are Therian?
The first, not every canine-like behavior or feeling comes from a canine, especially from a wolf. Badgers, even some felines, pigs, and so on also show them sometimes. Second, don't manipulate yourself and don't rush things. Your answer will come when you're ready for it. Don't search for it in a meditation, dream, or something. They are very unreliable and often show your desires or fears. Better study yourself and many more. There are some great resources. Third, the Therian journal is a big help. This way you can sum up easily and see what animal you might be, and even if you're a Therianthrope or not.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
Yes. Be yourself and ignore the negativity around you. You would like dogs do, where you can play with something, pee on it, and go on. Never forget it. Also, stop doubting. You're wonderful, and your answers will come to you one day. Don't hunt for it. And if you should make mistakes, oh hell, I did so much wrong in my life, I can tell you. Everyone makes mistakes, so you do. Don't be ashamed of it. Just go on and do whatever makes you happy.
Thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
Our story begins in 1993 in a small forum called Alternate Horror Werewolf Fact, a movie fan site. There, discussion arose on the topic of common life experiences relating to werewolves. The results were far beyond coincidence. These common experiences, now known as shifts, seem to indicate that they were non-human animals in some way, be it mentally, spiritually, or psychologically. Much debate would ensue about whether it was caused by complexity of the human brain, or soul reincarnation, or many other types of theories. But it would mostly lead nowhere, since it is incredibly hard to argue science with spirituality. Nevertheless, they were still united, and the first Therian group was formed. After the establishment of the Alternate Horror Therian group, the site became less focused on the fans of the movies and more of a haven for Therians. More joined, and after 10 years, more packs, or groups of Therians, began to form. Despite immense controversy, the Therian community continued to grow at a steady rate. In 1997, a Therian called in to a radio show called Art Bell's Radio Talk Show, where they began a discussion on therianthropy. This would be the first publicly broadcast discussion of the topic. While not much would come of it, it is still a historical event. Meanwhile, gatherings of Therians, also known as howls, started popping up in the West. At least 5 organized howls were recorded, including NC Howl in North Carolina. Then, on June 20th, 2010, one of the most widely controversial therianthropy-related news stories surfaced. This would soon become one of the most important points in Therian history since its beginning. 23-year-old Sarah Rodriguez, also known by the alias Wolfie Blackheart, was brought to trial in San Antonio, Texas for possible animal cruelty and mutilation charges. She was accused of beheading and taxiderming a lost dog formerly belonging to her neighbor. She stated in her testimony that her friend had brought her the already dead dog, as she would not kill a dog since she is, at spirit, a dog herself. This shone light on her pack, the Crimson Blood Wolf Pack, and several Therian members of it. This would be the first time Therianthropy would make national news, and it was not a good start. Many people were outraged at the possibility of Sarah committing these atrocious crimes, and gained a disdain for Therians as a whole. On the other side of the coin, this would be the first time Therianthropy would make national news, and it would educate new Therians about, well, what it was, which was hard information to come by at the time. This, in combination with the other things we have talked about today, would allow the Therian community to grow into what it is today. I started this documentary as a simple school project, but it quickly became much more. As I started to research Therians, I started to understand them and to care about them. So, from a simple school project, came a documentary with the sole purpose to help Therians by helping others understand their complexities. And isn't that what it's about? By breaking the borders of misinformation, you can start to see them as people, not things. So, in leaving today, I hope that you have learned something about Therians, and maybe, just maybe, learned something about yourself in the process.